Hello, my loves. So, I got a new Dakota Mysteries and Oddities 2022 edition book. So, it's the updated version from a friend of mine, Dave. Thank you very much. He mailed it to me. I read through it a little bit. It's got some pretty decent stories, not quite as spooky as the last one, but a lot more like oddities and true crime. So, for tonight's story, I chose to read The Dakota Man Jailed for Murder He Didn't Do. This happened in Fargo. He spent almost 23 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. He didn't at all. Okay? William Gummer was a night clerk at Fargo's Prescott Hotel. This was a good job for the young 23-year-old, born in Mayville. Gummer was a friendly lad, some say too friendly with the young women he checked into the lavish hotel. But of course, darling, we know why he was friendly. Did he become too friendly with Marie Wick, a pretty 18-year-old girl from Grygla, Minnesota? I probably butchered the name of that, but I mean, look how it's spelled. G-R-Y, Grygla? Who the fuck knows? Anyway, he stayed overnight at the hotel, or she stayed overnight at the hotel on her way to visit her aunt in Pettibone. Did Gummer kill Marie in the wee hours of June 7th, 1921? We're about to find out. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back. Marie checked into the hotel around 10 on the night of June 6th. Before retiring, she reportedly went out for ice cream with hometown friend Arnold Rasmussen. The story goes that Marie returned to the Prescott around 11 and asked Clerk Gummer for a 6 a.m. wake-up call. During questioning, Gummer claimed he called Wick's room at 6 the next morning as instructed. Getting no answer, he called several more times. Finally, he said he went to room 30 and knocked on the door. Again, he told police there was no answer. So he unlocked the door and went inside the room where he found Marie Wick tied to her bed frame, head wrapped in a bloody pillow, and she was dead. Finito. She was dead. Two witnesses, one a guest and the other a hotel maid, came forward and said they heard sounds coming from that room during the night. One said she heard noises around 4 o'clock. The other said she heard a commotion that happened much earlier than that. Okay. According to the Grand Forks Herald, which was their paper at the time, it probably still is, I'm not sure, February 15th, 1922 issue, police interviewed and fingerprinted all the guests except the one who signed his name on the registry as James Farrell. That's because Farrell was nowhere to be found. It seemed no one remembered him except the night clerk, who described the mystery man as around 25. He was 5 feet 8 inches tall, wearing a shabby dark suit and tan shoes and a cap. Gummer said he looked like a laboring man, so that he was possibly there for a labor job. Police made a search for Farrell, but no one by that name was found in all of Fargo. They searched the whole city. Couldn't find him. Although there were remembrances of a James Farrell who used to work on the railroad in the Fargo area, he couldn't be found either. Besides, the signature on the guest book read James Farrell. Wilmar it was believed by some that a James Farrell did live in Wilmar at one time and that he was a brakeman on the railroad. So we're starting to kind of figure out that there's another possible suspect, but he is nowhere to be found, so we can't rule him guilty and we can't rule him innocent either. Further search proved fruitless. It wasn't long before the police and prosecutor decided there was no one by the name James Farrell staying at the Prescott Hotel on the night of the murder. Most of the investigating officials then pointed a finger at none other than William Gummer as the murderer, because he was there, wrong place, wrong time type of situation. Let me see, where was I? He could have written Farrell's name in the registry. Some said he had an accomplice, a friend they identified as Andy Brown. Gummer protested his innocence. After knocking on Marie Wick's door, then unlocking the door and finding the deceased woman, Gummer said he went directly to his boss with the news. 10 days after the crime, State's Attorney W.C. Green was quoted in a story printed in the June 16, 1922 issue of the Hope Pioneer. A thorough investigation has convinced us absolutely not only that Gummer is guilty of the crime charged, but that it appears beyond the realm of possibility that it could have been committed by any other person. Gummer and his friend Andy Brown were then arrested. 8 months later, Gummer's case was ready for trial. 8 fucking months later. Jesus Christ. However, many people weren't convinced the police had the right man. They thought all the evidence was merely circumstantial, which it fucking was. It was. Prosecutor Green, do you imagine that we are going to manufacture evidence to send a man to prison and have that on our conscience? Green further said, where did the key to room 30 go? Good question. Who had a better opportunity to get rid of it than Gummer, whose roommate, Andy Brown, was seen to go into the back door of the Addison Hotel where he lived at 6:30 in the morning. Gummer's defense brought in for testimony A.B. Bergensen, the former chief of police in Wilmer, who testified that in 1918 he arrested a man by the name of James Farrell, who was then working as a brakeman on the Great Northern Railway. So there is such a man. We found him. So they had found this man. He in fact was James Farrell, who was then working as a brakeman on Great Northern Railway. Bergensen did not state the offense the man was charged with. The man has not been seen in Wilmar since 1918. Brown was brought to court. Prosecutors tried to prove he forged the name James Farrell in the registry. Handwriting experts were brought in by both prosecution and the defense. The prosecution also claimed that Brown did not get to his hotel until around 6:30 a.m., following Marie Wick's death. This circumstantially could have put him at the scene both times that Wick was thought to be attacked. Realizing there was too little evidence to prove Brown's guilt, the state dropped the charges. However, lawyers were successful in their prosecution of Gummer despite only circumstantial evidence. That is horseshit. Gummer was sentenced to life in prison. The young man's days turned into months, and the months into years that were peppered with his proclamations of innocence. Several attempts were made to reopen the case, but the courts always denied them. They were just trying to cover their own asses, in my opinion. Then, in 1934, lawyers came forward with evidence that it was not Gummer, who had been incarcerated for around 13 years, who murdered Marie Wick. New evidence strongly pointed to another man as the culprit, but the other man was never convicted, and the bars remained shut on William Gummer. That seemed such a tragedy, especially considering that on December 28, 1944, 10 years later, the Bismarck Tribune reported William Gummer walked out of the state penitentiary here Thursday, a free man after serving nearly 23 years for a first-degree murder. Gummer's life sentence was commuted by the State Pardon Board in session December 9th to end Thursday, December 28th, now 44. Gummer was convicted in Barnes County District Court of the murder of 18-year-old Marie Wick in a Fargo hotel room the night of June 6, 1921. Throughout the intervening years, he had steadfastly maintained that he was innocent of the crime. Gummer lived the rest of his life in North Dakota. He married and died in 1981, almost 40 years after his release. He and his wife are buried in Mayville, North Dakota. I want to show you a picture of, this is William Gummer's mugshot. He spent over 2 decades behind prison walls for a murder that he did not commit. It's very sad. He's actually quite handsome, I think. Okay, and this is the Prescott Hotel where Marie Wick was murdered. This is in Fargo. So, how crazy that you can be convicted of such a crime off of circumstantial evidence. I'm glad things are a little bit different now. I mean, I don't know that for certainty, but I'm pretty sure that they have to have hard factual evidence to actually convict somebody, especially of murder. Like, that's just too much. Too much. So yeah, I got a new Dakota Mysteries and Oddities book, and it has a cool story in here. It says, did Lee Harvey Oswald, alleged assassin of President John F. Kennedy, really live in Stanley, North Dakota? Did he? I'm definitely going to read that one soon, because he might have. There's a lot of shitheads that would, run away to North Dakota. I don't know why, because, well, this is my theory. Hiding in plain sight is one of the smartest things you can actually do. Like when you're hiding, somehow you just get found, when you're hiding in plain sight. I'm not saying you don't get found if you are in plain sight. Obviously, you can definitely be found that way. But when you are still kind of doing your own thing and you're not really focused on hiding, it seems like you can hide from people better that way than you could if you were actually hiding. Know what I'm saying? Get it? Got it? Good. I don't have a whole lot for you this week. I'm super spasmy, so reading was kind of difficult tonight, but I wanted to do it because I missed my story times. Definitely need to do more. The next one I think I'm gonna do on witches or something extraterrestrial or paranormal, something like that, because I have a lot of that floating around in my head and I want to tell some stories. Some true, some even happened to me right here in this house. Not much in this house, but a little bit. What else was I gonna say? I think that's about it. Yeah. So I will let me know in the comments if you like these types of stories. I know a lot of you do like the true crime stories. I try to find ones that did happen in North Dakota, and occasionally I like to do ones that happen in other states too, because I do have a lot of other people from different states that like to watch these. So I try to cater a little bit to everybody. Give me your feedback. I love feedback, okay? So like, you have other ideas of types of stories, put them in the comments. I promise I will get to it eventually. We'll go down the list, like I'll find these stories. I think that's about it. Yeah, I'm kind of spasming out of control, so I got to wrap this up. It's Sunday night. We're about to go into March. March is going to be a very busy, great month for me. I have a lot of doctor's appointments. That's not the great part. That's the part that I'm freaked out about. My daughter is going to have my first grandbaby, and I am so happy. I'm so excited. Nervous, excited. All the things. I'm feeling all the things. I got butterflies in my tummy. So, March is going to be awesome. Yeah. So, okay. I got Fredward here. I don't know if you can see him. He's kind of hanging out in the background. So that's enough of that. I just wanted to wish you a great week. Everybody stay happy, stay healthy. Woosah. Okay, have a good week. Have a good night. Love you.